and you're there, and these big universities want to bring you in for these conferences, these events, these higher learning once a year to get you on board. And so I guess they kind of just let a spy of the people in. And then you see how shuttered, how dumb it is, how they're actually corralling people, but then also some optimistic and good things. You were getting into that. Let's get back into it and all these other articles you've got, because this is the future. This is the big enchilada. This is what's going on.
You know, a lot of it is just you're able to talk to people from all around the world and find out what's going on in corporations, political, financial, and really, I wouldn't say I was, you know, spy, but more or less getting the information that the high-level people are getting. So I kind of, you know, feel like a speck of pepper in a pile of salt.
We're back live. If you're watching us on TV, you can see that amazing crew in there putting up with me, I got to tell you. This stuff gets to me. I get pretty stressed out. And earlier, I got into the whole globalist world government situation and how they're digging into bunkers and the elites are totally scared. And the ones that I've talked to that are awake and know what's going on are really upset and worried. And they basically say the exact same thing you were saying. There's a very small globalist cabal of agencies and scientists, and then people like Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers that set up the whole world government, the UN. I mean, they're on record. It's been in the news they run the, quote, alternate world government, ABC News reports. So, and they've got the Islamicists on board, and they're building something really big and really bad. And that's why I don't want to fight with what we call libtards and people. It's fun to make fun of them, but you know what? They're dangerous. We've got to reach out. We've got to let them know they're being manipulated. So we'll cover this more in the next segment. World Government Summit to Tackle Artificial Intelligence, CNBC. We'll talk about that and tie it into, they've already decided on the future. And then you go hang out in top, let's just say, research groups with people worth $37 billion. And they're compartmentalized and scared and kept on the plantation and going into these elite groups to get their yearly download of what the new, not just political correctness is, but corporate correctness. And it's frightening.
Yeah, we have access to reports that literally show, that were done by like McKinsey and people, that show what exactly is going to happen and take place in world businesses and economies, with healthcare, with manufacturing, with everything, and what they're projecting for the next 15 or 20 years. I mean, that's the kind of information that is very, very, very few people get. But I was amazed that you know, that they really didn't have any of the truth. They didn't have any of the truth.
And are you barred from talking about it, or why is it you don't want to talk about it?
Yeah, I had to sign a non-confidentiality agreement. Yeah, I'll talk about it. I'll talk about it. You know, great people though. I mean, you know, great people. They're just just.
But leftist, fearful ideology is the operating system, because they can always download the newest version. They're always raising the bar with this global social score. You're never going to be able to attain it.
Pretty much. The question I wanted to ask you was, you know, all these people that are going into these hideouts, do you think that it's because they're fearing a biological attack? Do you think that they're fearing an economic meltdown? Do you feel that they're fearing a nuclear attack? I mean,
I think it's exactly the order you said. Biological, economic, nuclear.
And let me tell you one thing that was covered probably most of the time at this meeting was the implementation.
By the way, you've been up there for a month.
I was up there for 3 weeks. Yeah. The implementation of blockchain technology. You know, I was, you know, I've toyed around and done a little bit of research into the cryptocurrencies and all that stuff and the blockchain. But let me tell you what. One of the main things they were talking about is, if you're not looking into this, I mean, this is here to stay, the blockchain technology. And I think there's something going on that's going to happen here with our currency system. I don't know what it is, but I know that a lot of things are going to decentralized systems. I can tell you, and I saw videos with my own eyes of how the crypto tokens, this is cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Litecoin, Ethereum, of you know, different types of coins, But there's also crypto tokens, and the crypto tokens are going to be these new platforms that are coming out. For example, advertising platforms. And this is, I think this is really, really good, because these are the people that are, a lot of them behind us, and a lot of them that are aware of the truth, and they're wanting to decentralize all these things. And it's getting to the point where governments and big corporations are freaking out about it, because you have like...
Sure, that's why they had the big clampdown that just happened. Let's come back and talk about that and all these different disruptive forces as they see them, and just the fact that we are all strapped to a rocket. Okay, I mean, this is an incredible time to be alive, and they don't want you thinking. You know, so many people come up to me on the street and they say, Alex, how are you taking it, getting demonized by the globalists, having Soros-funded groups sue you, you know, having the comedy shows almost every night lie about you and demonize you? I'm not doing this to win a popularity contest. I'm doing this to wake people up, to stop societal breakdown and collapse that the globalists are betting on. And then they're betting that after that collapse happens, they're going to bring in a real authoritarian system. So I'm doing this as an information soldier for my family and for humanity. I'm an American, I'm a Texan, I'm a Christian, but in the final equation, I am rooting for civilization and humanity. When people give up on it, civilization falls. That's what's wrong in third world countries. And we are seeing major decline everywhere, but also a lot of new developments and rebirth at the same time. So it really is up to those of us that take action and get involved. Here's this article from a few weeks ago, because it ties into news today that Dr. Group, joining us here in studio, was just covering. And that's World Government Summit to tackle artificial intelligence in Dubai. And then it talks about how they accept we're having a world government, we're going to merge with machines, and that humans will be made obsolete. And the article just goes through all that. Now, that's exactly the whole premise of what I've been saying for 20 years. I didn't have it figured out the first couple. I knew they were eugenicists and wanted population reduction, but I didn't get the whole that eugenics became transhumanism. And again, I'm not saying if you want to be a transhumanist that you yourself are bad. It's the directive of this transhumanist system that we see through the big universities. And then you tie that in to the billionaires, right down to the millionaires, right down to people in government service, digging in and believing not just a civil war, but total world war is coming. And we should have a debate about that. We should have a discussion, because they see at the top, those directing it, this AI takeover as being very violent, very disruptive, but cleansing of humanity as if humanity's a disease. Well, our decadence, our slovenliness, our evil, people being stupid, people being lazy, people being angry. I'm certainly not perfect. Just the tension of the modern society is brain damaging us. It is making us angry. It is poisoning us. So we're going through a metamorphosis that isn't too pretty. And I liken it to space travel without gravity. If you went on a mission to Mars, you know, you would have trouble walking once you got there. Not because of its low gravity, it'd be the opposite, but because you're atrophied muscles and bones. So it's the same thing in this modern culture. We are withering. We are dying. Our brain waves are lowering. Our brain cells are dying. Our genetics are mutating. Our sperm are dying. Our eggs are mutating. We are being destroyed. And the electromagnetics and the 4G and the 5G, they know what it's doing. And it's being directed by a very small group at the top that didn't want to be identified. Now they've been identified. Their plans identified. And we need to have a discussion about this, because there's one big group of globalists that aren't for total death and destruction who are warning people and saying this, like Elon Musk and many others. And then separately, you go to other elite training schools and things that group can't get into because he signed a non-disclosure, but I'm fully aware of the programs. Everybody's aware of the programs for business people and folks that have, you know, like group, been very successful and things like that, can get into the group. And then, you know, you're one person might be worth only $50 million. The richest guy's worth $37 million. And you're there, and these big universities want to bring you in for these conferences, these events, these higher learning once a year to get you on board. And so I guess they kind of just let a spy of the people in. And then you see how shuttered, how dumb it is, how they're actually corralling people, but then also some optimistic and good things. You were getting into that. Let's get back into it and all these other articles you've got, because this is the future. This is the big enchilada. This is what's going on.
You know, a lot of it is just you're able to talk to people from all around the world and find out what's going on in corporations, political, financial, and really, I wouldn't say I was, spy, but more or less getting the information that the high-level people are getting. So I kind of, feel like a speck of pepper in a pile of salt. Because you realize how awake you actually are, and you realize you can kind of see the
what you're saying is you're getting way better info. You're seeing they're like mushrooms kept in the dark, fed crap. You're in there seeing the brainwashing just at another strata.
Well, see, one of the struggles that you don't hear about in the mainstream media that's currently going on right now with all these multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar companies is technology. Exactly what you said, AI. These companies are stuck right now because they're on these big ERP platforms. They have technology that's outdated, and technology is going so fast with AI and with automation and with blockchain and all this other stuff that they're sitting there going, oh my gosh, how am I going to keep up with this? How am I going to change all this? And corporations, the whole society is changing. So it's not a top-down approach anymore like it used to be so much. It's more like a bottom-up approach, because with social media, you have these individual workers and you have to create a culture in your company and you have to take care of people. And nowadays, if an employee is treated wrong or if something's not fair, then they can go on social media and they can attack you, and it's a reputation that you have to uphold. So all of these different things, and coming at these companies a million miles an hour, and the fact that they're dealing
it's information overload.
It's information overload. I mean, it just goes to show you that knowing the truth can be so beneficial. And I'm saying
there's nothing more valuable than knowing information. And then the globalists are threatened by information. They're always trying to keep us low information. That's why governments, intelligence agencies do listen to us. It's why they're obsessed with us, because of the guests we have on, like yourself, and knowing that whistleblower info and things that they can't control is going to get out. And larger than that, why did James Cameron and these top Hollywood billionaires start exiting to New Zealand 9-10 years ago? Because other, even richer, more powerful people told them, we believe it's untenable. Civilization cannot be saved. We're going to actually engineer its controlled collapse. And so it was a giving up on humanity, or it was the ultra-rich eugenicists getting all the other rich people who weren't pure evil to just give up and go hide while all this is coming. So that's what I'm saying. What are they going to hide from? You asked the question. You said, is it biological disease X type scenario? Is it financial collapse? Is it war? I think in that order I mean, you knew the answer before you said it. And your question was the answer.
I agree with that, and I also think that with the coming, when you have the flu shots becoming more and more and vaccines push, and you have the psychological testing on children in schools these days, mandatory psych testings, and it's open that they want every single child on some sort of psychotropic medication. They want every adult on some form of medication. And
then their own documents say this is the brain damage and control.
This is the...
this is chemical lobotomies. This is 21st century war. You're under World War IV, globalist attack. And the word is they've already got competing AIs right now. They just need to get them all jacked into fiber optic and everything be a smart device so the AIs can see and run everything.
But you know what? The more I think about it,
the AI is growing its tentacles.
They're already doing experiments where they're doing half human and chips inside of with animals, and the future is a part human, part computer system that they can control, and that's everything comes into play. When you look at the 5G,
they're already building the chip interfaces.
What I think is going to happen, Alex, is all the people that we talk to and we know, because I know now, like all the billionaires and all these corporate owners, they're stressed out to the hilt. They're on multiple medications because they're in bed with the pharmaceutical and the big agriculture.
And they make the world so complex. All these technologies, social media make you depressed. They make things more complex. They don't make it work better for human systems. So it's meant to make us finally go, AI take over. And then when we let that take over, then we're done.
But the good news is that you're starting to see all of these young people, and you're starting to see all the people that do know the truth, that are coming out with ways to decentralize social media platforms through crypto tokens.
And so the answer is true grassroots, local innovation. What Drudge always said, get off the big casino gulag.
Look what's happening to Facebook right now. Look at all the senators want Zuckerberg to come in, and all the data that's being stolen, and all the campaigns for people to delete Facebook.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Gonna hit me? Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
Thank you all for coming together to represent our party at its best.
I am standing in the middle of 1984 civilization.
Let resistance equal progress.
Yeah, this kind of feels fascist to me, yet they're out here protesting fascism. They put it in their music videos, they hold up decapitated heads, plays in the New York Public Theater.
Are you trying to fight me, bro? Yeah, trying to engage in political discourse with these people, and you've seen the responses time and time again. And this represents the strength, the courage, and the bravery that we can have freedom and prosperity.
The War Room. Infowars.com/show.
Infowars Life is bringing you a breakthrough in modern medicine. Introducing Pollen Block. We have found an extraordinary new, natural way to alleviate seasonal distress symptoms, including promoting clear nasal and sinus passageways, eye comfort, and respiratory function. In the 1960s, researchers in France noticed that people who ate certain quail eggs experienced less seasonal immune and inflammatory responses. They began studying this effect in published trials, and decades later, we now have the fruit of this research, a fast-acting, chewable tablet that helps alleviate seasonal distress symptoms. Pollen Block is natural and effective. It is not an antihistamine. In fact, current research has found that it actually acts by blocking the activity of tryptase, which is an enzyme that amplifies immune and inflammatory responses in the body. Go outside and enjoy the air you breathe. Head to InfoWarsLife.com and grab a pack of our Pollen Block chewable tablets.